Madam
It's not our
Mayor,
jurisdiction.
I won't be alone
You
this
just wait for them
weekend.
to tell you what they
So-
need, right?
So you call.
Would
Would you all please rise and join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You see a flag?
I haven't seen that flag in 5 years.
Carl needs to change seats. John
Okay,
over there.
a couple of announcements. We have a sheriff's committee meeting at 9, right here on Thursday morning.
We got him.
9 or 9:30.
Okay.
So if you need to, whenever we get here, it's posted at 9, but as long as we don't have it earlier, we can do it a little later if you guys have got stuff, because I didn't get a chance to tell you to just now, so, is that all right?
Gotta have tires for the car, bro. Have my wife follow. Pick me up.
Okay.
Yep, that'll work.
All right. The purpose of that meeting is to go over negotiations and also to review the sheriff's budget, which you guys now have, okay? Andy, do you have things that you wish to speak to right now? No?
I can't think of anything today.
Yeah, because we are gonna go over the income side of the budget today for next year. Dan?
Just the road at the animal shelter, really nice.
Carl, do you have anything?
No.
Nope.
Lisa, bigger report? This is your big chance.
Airport, can we hear the airport
It'll
report?
be the shortest one you ever received.
Augie, do you have anything today that we need to be aware of?
Well, we could discuss the agenda item now, or I can do it tomorrow morning on relocating a polling place.
Well,
It's a big deal.
why don't you just...
Tell us.
Let's talk
Yeah,
about it.
Yeah, that's fine.
All
Yeah.
right. As I always do, I contact the polling places just to make sure that we're good to go. And so I did that this year, especially with the pandemic. And long story short, the First United Methodist Church cannot guarantee or promise me that they'll unlock the door for us to be a polling place there. I just moved them, if you recall, in spring, from Wentz School to the Methodist Church. And now the Methodist Church says, Bishop says no, COVID. If the election were held today, we could not use that as a polling place. So, I found a replacement. It's going to be the Paris Township building. I've talked to Bill Ingram. I went and looked at it. I walked the layout as I see it, and there will be as much room there as there would be at the Methodist Church in the room that they were letting us use.
Where's that building at? Oh, good.
The township building?
Yeah,
Well, it's across the street from the police station,
yeah.
It's right
kind of
next
tucked
to
behind, on,
the Extension and Farm Bureau building.
Yeah.
yeah, it's right next to the Farm Bureau building,
Oh,
the
okay.
west side of that, in essence, on Tenbrook. It is handicap accessible, restrooms, I think it's
Parking is
gonna,
adequate?
I'm sorry,
Parking is adequate?
well, there, you can,
You park by Family Dollar and walk around?
just gotta
or-
park wherever you
Always
can.
around.
I mean, we kinda run into the same situation when it was at Wentz. It was very limited spaces at the school. Now, they did go across the street to Otterbein and park, but there is public parking east of the police station. So there's some parking there and along the streets, and may not be desirable, but I would
Doesn't
consider
First
this
Med
to
have
be
a
a
parking
last,
lot?
I'm
Does
sorry.
First Med have a parking lot there too?
Yeah, they have the southeast
Yeah, so I thought
section of that parking lot, but
Right.
to me, this is a last minute change because there are so many things that are going into the planning for this election. unlike anything we've ever seen or done before. And I can't wait until November the 1st and then find a place. So I think it'll be good. Questions on that?
You don't really have a choice, do you?
Well, I don't really have a choice. I
Right,
mean,
right.
I can't play a waiting game. I've got to make a decision, move on, because I've got other things that I need to address.
It's okay with you, it should be okay with us.
Right.
So there's a resolution.
Is
in your-
it-
or-
When you walk in there, I haven't been in there for years, do you have to go up steps?
That's what I was thinking.
Well, there is a ramp
Okay,
and there are also steps.
okay,
I walked up the ramp and I went down the steps.
Okay.
So,
okay.
So there's
It's not
gonna
down in the basement?
no, sir. Nope.
It's
Main
for the
level.
office?
So
Main
it's
level.
handicap accessible.
It is handicap accessible, yes.
Well, the other day, you sent something on the new rules at the polling places as far as social distancing and all that. And like the booths have to be 6 feet apart. Have you looked at, like Vermillion, in that little office, there's no way that could work?
There's no way that can
So are you
work.
gonna get a fire truck out and move it out to the,
Yeah, Rick and I discussed that,
Okay,
and
all
he's
right.
agreed for me to use that
Okay.
garage,
Yeah.
at least where that one truck would be. So,
Yeah.
yeah, the traffic's gonna come in the office door, if you will, and work its way through to the garage
Right.
and then out the other door.
okay? And is that an issue at any of the other places that you have to work with other people?
No, it's,
Okay.
this was, the Vermillion was an issue for me.
Yeah.
And now this is.
Okay.
The only other one, and the Sims Townhouse, they'll have to limit the number of people that go into that township building to vote. You know, maybe every other booth, they'll let them in.
Well, it's hard to do out there.
It's very hard to
Because
do.
there's no windows, I mean, you can't see if there's 5 people walking up to the door.
I know that,
Yeah.
I know that.
Is there a possibility of moving it to Oliver to the fire station at some point?
There's always that possibility if we're gonna do that. The way it works is the township supervisor needs to, basically need to let the people have a say-so in it.
Mm-hmm.
So to have a meeting and then tell me that, hey, we don't want it here in the township building. Found a place over in Oliver that would work. I think that's just, it's the formality of doing that, and I would certainly be open to it.
Not this election,
No.
Well,
possibly still,
you know, we have,
given the situations.
yeah, we have another board meeting in October. You know, if we could get everything in place, we could put it on the agenda for the October meeting, or if it needs to be sooner, we could do it sooner, but we could go ahead and get it all laid out. So let me ask you a question. Andy, when you go in the door down there, on the, let's just call it the south end, that may not be the right direction, but the door's locked over there on the other end of that porch, is that correct? I mean, we don't go in and out of that
We don't
door,
go
never
in and out,
have,
Never have,
but there is a door there, as I recall.
okay. Are there any steps out?
Yeah, I think it gets you out to the front porch, if I'm not mistaken, but don't hold me to that. I probably should go down and look and see if that door,
Even opens, whether,
if it even opens, then I can come in and go
make a U.
out a different, yeah, just make a big U and go out. That's the game plan for all my places, so I'll follow up on that. Questions on any of that?
Poll workers, is that gonna be an issue?
Well, it always is an issue.
Right.
This year especially, or this election more so, I have had some judges tell me that they can't serve, but most of them have found a replacement.
Okay.
So I sent out a letter to all of them, and I'm believe it or not, I'm getting names of people who are interested in serving. So at this point, I'm probably a little better than I thought I was gonna be.
Yeah.
I can still use more.
Well, you maybe ought to have some extras in case someone at the last minute, you know how that goes.
Absolutely.
Or besides.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why I sent my letter out a month ago to see if they would be thinking about it.
Are you expecting less people voting in person on that day because of the mail-in ballots and all that?
Theoretically, you would think so.
Right.
Where last March, we did 100 vote-by-mail ballots. And so far, as of this last Friday, we had applications for 960. And so it's gonna go over 1,000, I don't know how much more than that, are gonna be vote by mail instead of going out to the polling places. So, it's just hard to say. The
If I vote by mail, and then 3 days later I go in and vote in person, how do you know I voted by mail?
Well, because the
No,
date,
Trump says vote twice, so I just thought you would.
Don't start that crap.
Let's hit Chicago.
Bring the Democrats are all like.
what we do is,
I just asked a question because I.
I get it, we check that, we
I
we
just
run a
wonder how you do
report, we run a report on Monday,
Okay,
and we can tell who's voted in person, early votes, who's voted by mail, so
Okay.
all of it, who's ever
I just
voted.
wondered.
And then that goes out to the polling places. It's called a poll book, and they can
Okay.
look right down the list, it'll say voted.
You might keep close track of him. He might go to a lot of polls.
Well,
I'm not
I've already got
I'm
it
not
set, so we're gonna
voting, so
change
don't
his
worry about
ballot
it.
anyway, so it won't matter.
I'm not voting anyway.
No, I'm kidding.
Truth hurts.
Are they voting up at the courthouse now?
September
Yeah.
24th.
September 24th.
Okay.
September 24th is when we start.
Me too. Yep,
Trump.
I'm done.
Oh, you're fine.
I just asked a
He's
question.
not fine. That's just yours being nice.
I don't wanna irritate you.
So,
Something might flare up.
right,
At his age, he's easily
that's
irritated.
right. See now.
Okay. Any other questions, Boggy? Why don't you take out your agenda that's in the packet? And let's just run down the list here real quick. You saw the highway resolution. We've got, you already talked about that. We talked about, or we need to talk about the execution of deeds of conveyance. These are properties that are being sought or bought, and we're gonna get reimbursed for the monies that are,
Taxes, right? So
yeah,
that's-
taxes, yes. Then we've got number 10 is ESDA. Jill will be here tomorrow morning and explain that to you, but about 5 or 6 years ago, we went through the process of doing or creating an update hazard mitigation plan, and you have to do that every so many years to make sure you're eligible for funding if something should happen. If you do not do it, and something bad happens here, which we all pray it doesn't, we would not be eligible for state or federal funds. So Jill and I interviewed a company, which she will describe, and basically, the state pays for the update or the mitigation plan, and our contribution is in-kind service. So there's actually no cost to us. We'll involve all the communities, all the little districts and so forth in the county will be required, just like they were 5 years ago. We come in and have X amount of meetings, and that'll be our in-kind service.
You did get some money, right, for the COVID from the state or federal government?
Yeah, we will. We haven't gotten any
Okay,
yet,
I just wanted to-
okay? Let's see, authorize the polling price. Okay, approve, the health insurance that we've talked about the last couple months. That's just to be cautious and make sure we dot all our i's and cross all our t's. Augie's office has gone ahead and everybody responded and has made their selections and everything's fine, right, Augie?
Yes.
Okay. Action on the president's executive order allowing for deferral of payroll taxes. I talked to our accountant, Matt informed me that just to go on the record would probably be a good idea, and Don's office asked that, and we're recommending that we not do the payroll deferring. There's a lot of issues involved with that, negative ones, and our auditor recommends we do not do that. And our decision affects our employees, but the best example that he gave me was like if somebody's making $500 a week and they go for the deferral and it doesn't become permanent after the first of the year, they, instead of making 500, they get 600 if they're using the deferral. Then in January, they'd be making $400 a week. So it just doesn't make a lot of sense. There's a lot of questions involved with it, and it's our decision to make, so I'm asking you folks to make that decision.
What happens if somebody files a lawsuit against us for not,
I don't think it would have any merit because it's our decision, not theirs.
okay,
And remember, if it's made permanent, they'll probably get their money back anyway. If the
Okay.
Congress could agree, then they'd get a refund,
okay,
okay? And so would we,
Yeah.
but,
okay.
any other questions on that? Let's see, guess that's the meat of the matter. I did give you this morning a budget work paper, and it covers income or revenues for this coming fiscal year 21. And I thought we might run down the list, okay? I want to the left, the column is previous year actual, like the first one. In FY19, we collected 35,930, and we budgeted 36,000 so far. And this is collected at the end of the year when the tax sale goes on and all the other business. And of course, nothing is collected until all the property taxes have been finalized. So then we've got property tax. This year, although a year ago we collected 940, almost 941, we're scheduled to collect 995,000. And the reason that there's a difference of about 10 grand is because we don't collect everything that we asked to. And I put 970 there at this point, which is kind of a down payment on a reduction. And of course, that's up to you folks. That's a 2.5% reduction in property tax that I thought would be, if we can do it, when we look at the whole budget, it would be nice to do that. To reduce the property taxes since we're gonna have new revenues in the safety tax. Maybe you wanna make that higher, but at any rate, I thought it would be good faith to lower the property taxes even a little bit. We may be able to do more later, but at least we could start that way.
What, one question,
Please.
when do we start collecting or getting the 1% safety tax?
This time next month.
Okay.
I just looked a few minutes ago. You can look on the computer and tell it's not updated for the July collections yet. It's what's collected in July will be paid out in October.
Do we have a figure on how much we've collected, or do you have any idea?
I don't even have that yet,
Okay.
but we won't get that till around the 4th, 5th of next month.
Okay. Just
It's
ask.
always no, that's fine. I would get into that. It's always a couple of months behind.
Okay.
And we'll get 5 payments this fiscal year because of the accrual. We'll actually get 3 payments, but then we'll get 2 payments afterwards that will count in this year, okay? Then the next is anticipation warrants, in case we need them. We don't look to need them next year, but just in case. Then the next several items are taxes that are supplied to us through the state of Illinois that are collected. We've taken a very conservative approach to them, and you can see that collections are down a little bit, so we have down through the, let's see, including the 380, 700, 210, the cannabis, of course, that's a relatively new one, 200,000. Those taxes are redistributed once the state collects them to us. And you can notice, almost without exception, all of those are down for this coming year. Just to be prudent. Let's see, sales, or state's attorney's salary is 23. Probation, you see that's up, but those are actual figures that were given to me by Monty, and it is gonna be the collection, and what we get is gonna be increased from previous years, the last 2 years. ESDA, or these are the grants, known grants that we have in the offing, and you can see we have been collecting them. They come pretty much the last month or two of the year. That's why we haven't collected much yet. You can see that the city of Paris, for animal control and civil defense, or ESDA, is already there. Clark County, that's something we share, the public defender, and those are salaries that that we get year in and year out. So that's what we budgeted there. Now we're moving into the circuit clerk general fund. That's off a little. Well, no, that one's up. Some of the fee systems that we're going to see here now are down because, especially in the circuit clerk and the sheriff's office, because a lot of those fees have changed. Now, Augie's on board for the county clerk to pretty much collect what he did last year. So we rebudgeted the same amount. But if you go to the next page, you're going to start seeing, well, the circuit clerk there has gone up, but then if you go down to the next item, circuit clerk fees collected are way down from the 80,000 that we budgeted, or 90,000 that we budgeted the previous year. In 19 we did 80,000. So those fees have been dramatically hit. State's attorney's fees are down a little. Sheriff's collections, you can see, are down a lot. Again, those were affected by what the court system did and the legislature did as far as collectible fees from defendants. Public defender down a little. Again, this is the sales tax collections. Those are all become available to us towards the end of the year when the tax sale goes on. And here again, the 6,000 or 3,500, the last year, almost 6,000 the year before, is tax sale information. Drainage district fees, that's due at the end of the year. Fees for collecting those for the various agencies. Court security, that may vary. We need to get with, once the sheriff's committee meets, and we're gonna look at what we're gonna do there. And Derek is identifying what we have spent on court security this year, and then we'll have a better figure there. But right now in the sheriff's budget, there's $102,000 or $103,000 for expenditures on court security, which we need to dissect and see whether we're going to maintain that. Copies and printings have to do with other counties reimbursing us for the cost. Same way with the next one. 911, we haven't renegotiated that. That's going to appear, that particular line item, and the income is going to appear in the sheriff's budget at the top, along with the safety tax and some other ones that will become apparent later.
That 25,000 pay us every quarter.
Well, it's actually whatever, 135, it's 30. It's more like 34,000 that they pay us every quarter, yes. But we'll still get that. It's just gonna appear at somewhere else in the budget.
Okay.
Let's see, we don't have any tax districts in the townships right now, so we're not collecting any money from them. Circuit clerk fees, again, you see where we're down in that particular agency, or that, those fines. Arrest agency fees, we didn't budget anything, because I don't know whether that's gonna be affected by our jail reopening, so we'll just have to see how that winds up. State's attorney fees, again, collected is down substantially. Let's see. Law enforcement fines, they're up a little bit. Interest checking, that's kind of a done deal. It has to do with taxes. Hang on, that's Rick Stewart, he may have some information for us.
Smart Water, 70,000. That's what we get from Smart Water?
No, no.
Okay, so how's that gonna save us money in the long run?
Hopefully there are.
Bills on the lighting and all that?
Yeah. Has anybody tracked any of the power bills or anything since all this happened, or
On Smart
We
Water,
pay them, but we haven't,
I
Have you
just was
noticed
curious?
have they gone down in?
I haven't noticed that yet.
But
Okay.
look in and see. I suppose a lot of it maybe will happen this winter.
Mhm.
I mean, unless it's
Heating.
a super, heating, unless it's a super cold winter, I don't even think, I mean, we'll turn the boiler on, make sure it works, but
Yeah.
unless it gets really cold, you won't even use the boiler. But you haven't had any trouble with it either, had you? It seems to be working pretty good now.
Yeah,
I
I
noticed there was someone up there at Sycamore today,
How long would we have to pay this amount of money?
it actually goes up,
Or-
15 years, and it goes up.
So what happens if we don't see a reduction in our energy bills? We still have to pay this amount of money to Smart Water?
Well, we sit down and go over it with them every year.
Okay. So in other words, this could go
And I
down?
need that. That won't go down.
Oh, we're meeting,
Okay.
In fact, it will go up, reflecting increased costs over the years.
You probably don't know what Smart Water is, do you?
Well, we just talked about it.
It was a company that it was an energy company, audit company that came in and redid, put all new lighting, new heating, cooling in at the courthourse, basically downstairs.
Down at Shaw Avenue.
I'm sorry, guys.
Health Department,
And
a lot
gals.
of changes in there.
So we get down
Okay.
there, I'll ask you, I wanna ask you something about it.
Did you have a question?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Okay, interest checking, dividends from Illinois funds, those are all done deals. Miscellaneous revenue, we usually put something in there, we never know. Work release, transportation of prisoners, it's gonna be less. Franchise fees, that includes liquor licenses, the towers, things that we do through other contracts that bring in money. Let's see, reimbursement of expenditures. Again, that usually amounts to several $1,000s. Illinois risk grant, that you'll find in the actual administrative portion of the budget. Later on, under where we keep the 90,000 and some other things that we do. So that hasn't disappeared from the budget, it was inadvertently put in twice last year. Okay, where am I at?
So we still get that every year?
Yes,
When does that come in? Anybody know off? the top?
Augie would know better than me.
That grant is due by the end of November, so usually it's December, they kick it right back out to us.
Did we do anything, use it for anything last year?
Well, we earmarked it for repairing concrete steps outside the circuit clerk's office, southwest corner.
Did that ever get done?
No.
So how much money's in it?
Well, it goes into that particular fund,
Okay.
so there's 90 grand in it, which includes that, so that money is available for, I guess, 2 years, okay?
Okay.
Then, transfer from rabies funds, that's 20 grand. That's, we do that on an annual basis. That still leaves, we talk to Andrea, and we make sure that there's enough money left in there. So that's,
Worked on that last year too, if I
Right.
remember right.
let's see, we did not doing a transfer in for the circuit clerk, but she has offered us money this year just to see where we're at. We'll go from there. And then the last item is reimbursement of expenditures. That got cut off, but that's from the airport. That's transferring money in from the airport, the general airport fund, 823 or whatever it is, I can't remember. So we do that on an annual basis. So we're showing roughly 4,100,000 in expenditures, okay? And then, just for this section.
Yeah.
There are other incomes that will become apparent when we have the rest of the budget for you to look at.
Couple of questions.
Please.
When Amaron finishes all of their lines, don't we get some money from them?
Yeah, that will be dumped into the general fund to help erase some of that
About
600,000.
600?
Well, it won't be that much, but that's where it goes. It's not budget,
400,000.
497,000,
That's when they finish the total project.
right.
Didn't we get a 10,000 when they signed the road use agreement?
Yeah, that went into
Okay.
the
Okay.
highway fund.
What about rides, the 150,000, did we ever get that?
Mhm.
Okay, good, just wondered.
Yep.
Okay,
Actually, it never left us,
That's what
Yeah,
I
I
was
knew that.
thinking.
Yeah,
okay?
just know-
It just never left us.
but now we put it in, or,
You know, it went
Okay.
into the general fund to start with,
okay.
okay?
What about, one other question?
Well, son.
The Shaughnessy lawsuit, is
We
that
can't
still
talk
in the
about
courts?
that in an open meeting.
Okay, it's still in courts,
Yes,
okay.
I'm sorry.
That's fine, I just
Yeah,
wondered.
nothing, I haven't heard nothing.
That's just what I wondered. so-
Have you heard anything, Augie?
Not a word.
Okay.
Okay,
I knew they had taken some depositions
I just
a
wondered.
couple months ago, but a lot of that got put on hold because of COVID,
Okay.
okay? Other questions about income, not that this is the final word, just any direction or concerns? Okay, the other portion of the,
Well,
yes,
I
Carl.
guess I have some concerns.
Okay,
You know, here through the August board meeting, there's three more months in this budget year.
well, no, not from a accrual basis, there's some of 6 months, some 5 months.
What do you mean by that? I guess.
Okay, in other words, we'll continue to get money in next calendar year that's still counted this year because of the way the state distributes it. For example, income tax.
I noticed, you know, we're way down on a lot of those, like state income, local use tax.
But we still
sales
got 5 or 6 months coming in of income.
tax. Okay,
Because see, the state, they have a collection month, it's probably, I don't know, we're probably dealing with July right now. August, or I mean, June and July. So you can see we still got, what, July, August, September, October, nowhere. So we're probably still got 5 months coming into that,
okay.
okay?
Well, I was just looking at, you know, we're over $4 million in income, but as of right now, we've only got 2 million in income,
Yep.
which is 50%.
Well, and part of that is like, if we only have 175,000 in of the property
Right.
tax.
Yeah,
So we've still got 825,000, there's almost $1 million, well,
yeah, got it, okay.
yeah.
On
No, that's fine, and that's, we need to talk about that stuff.
on the smart lot, the 70,300, is that income or is that what we pay out? Written on the last page.
I was just gonna get to that here.
Okay.
Okay, this last page, the 2020, is expenses for the administrating. Okay, Clark County Public Defender, even though we collect from the state to pay that, then we gotta turn around and give them $33,000 back, okay? Because we're splitting the cost of that. We're getting 66.6, and then we're turning around and paying Clark County half that money back because that's where they're paying the state's attorney or their public defender over there. Then we got banking charges. Here's where the anticipation warrants get paid back. If you notice, the third item on the first page is 500,000 anticipation, which gets dumped in when we do that. But then before the end of the year, we have to pay it back, okay? Then transfer out for courthouse, that's the rehab that we did 10 years ago. We normally would put 36,000 in that, as you see, and we're doubling up this coming year to help make up some of the shortfall that we haven't paid in over the last few years. Then SmartWatt is actually gonna be added to this, so this will appear on this page, and that's our payment in October of 21.
Is that minus what the health department pays us?
Well, that's a good point.
Cause it'll be about 24,000,
Okay,
I think.
then that should be, if we're gonna write one check, so that would become an income.
Okay,
That would become an income that I need to look at what they're gonna pay. I forgot all about that.
and I think she's probably gonna wanna do that more.
It was about 24, 25.
About 25 grand.
So we need to put that as, will she wanna write her own, well, I need to talk to Janet to see
Right,
how she
and
wants.
I'm assuming she'll wanna do that monthly.
We've got a,
What do you
So there's
think?
only one payment due, you know.
But I don't, okay, just have to see how she prefer to give it
That's-
to us, whether she'd
we've
like
got
to
a
put it.
meeting this month, we might,
Well, I'll
She
call
might-
her
she
and
might
find
write
out
it
how,
down.
cause see, we got a payment coming up next month.
Right,
But I thought it'd be nice to memorialize in the budget what we're actually,
doing with that.
right,
Okay,
okay? So we could do a pass-through account of like 24, 25, that if she wants to do it that way, and then we write one check for her.
okay.
We'll see what she wants to do. But that's a little bit of a savings. Then the courthouse match is what we talked about earlier.
Okay, yep,
And then the jail study grant allows for 17 and then additional monies in case we need it over the course of the year. We'd rather show it so everybody is on the same game page as what we're doing.
so,
Yes,
we actually pay SmartWatt this amount of money every year.
no, it varies from year to year. It's gonna go
it actually
up.
goes up.
Yeah,
Okay, so how do we know if we're gonna save that amount of money?
we're gonna,
We'll have to do an audit, basically, and see what our energy bills are and what our maintenance bills in the past were, and then compare that,
Okay, I just want, be
According-
interesting to see
how much we're
how, if
saving.
we're saving some money on it.
we're already seeing some savings.
Okay,
But with the jail being closed, I don't know.
It's hard to tell.
It's hard to tell. For example, our water bill so far is, for the whole year, I think is like $1,800, and we budgeted like 13,000. So, but we don't have a bunch of leaky stuff up at the jail.
Right.
You know what your water bill's like when the toilet
I know.
runs?
Can you imagine what it was like when you had all of them running?
Yeah.
Also, there's an automatic increase every July, and it's like 20, $20.
What's that?
Well, I passed that back when we had the water line from Terre Haute to Paris. They had an automatic increase in your sewage bill every year. I don't know how many years that is, but it goes up. I know ours is going up.
And then there'll be a debt reduction figure in here that we don't have. Until we get the whole budget put together. Pam has been out for a medical issue. She's back in today to help Don with payroll, but she really can't do much here for the next couple of weeks. So some of the stuff we just don't know. But Carl, you bring up a good point on income, but unlisted income for this fiscal year looks to be somewhere just short of $1 million with everything that we have coming in that is not reflected in the budget. Okay? Right around $1 million, just short of $1 million. That's COVID money, which somehow I must have misstated it because it said in the paper we were doing it, and we're just now doing it, okay? So that's about 100. The safety tax is gonna bring in about 400, and then Ameren, as you point out, is gonna bring in a fair amount, okay? So,
But the 400 through Ameren won't be this budget year.
No, I
actually, yes, they're saying it will be.
They think it'll be
Yeah,
done.
when we've met, they're way ahead of where they thought they would be. They're talking about having us check the first part of November. Okay?
And you say the safety tax will be roughly 400 this fiscal year?
Yes,
And that's for 3 months,
5 months.
5 months?
Because see, we'll collect July, August, September, October, November. Now, we won't get November's until February 1st, but that will still count in accrual basis into this tax year. Okay? So our cash flow is gonna do better, and maybe we'll see some light at the end of the tunnel. But I thought it'd be important, and please take these home, and if you've got other questions, just like this deal with SmartWatt, I wouldn't have caught that
Yeah.
until it was later.
Questions on that?
No, I appreciate it, guys, because I can't remember everything. So that will definitely be easier on us, but, and that way we can communicate with Janet and solve the problem now and not wait.
All right.
Okay?
If have to, she could bring it up at the meeting this month, next,
Yeah, that's
we have a
fine.
meeting in, the third Wednesday of this month.
Well, that's great.
The last time you talked to her, she got everything running now?
Yeah.
Everything's working. I know they were waiting on a SIM card or something for,
Waiting on the cooler, I think they got that done.
and they got all that
I
done.
think so. I heard
So,
some complaints.
but it appears to be working more efficiently, a lot better.
I won't know until the meeting.
Yeah, we don't have it.
We'll
Well,
bring it up.
it was, all the budgets were just due in from all the department heads last Friday.
Okay.
In fact, I didn't get mine all in until today, and I still don't have, IMRF is the only thing I got outstanding, and we've been distorted the last couple of months because of people retiring and so forth, and that inflates stuff. So we're waiting to see what our contributions are for this last 2 weeks, and that'll give us everything settled back down, and that'll give us a better idea of what we're actually needing. So,
Andrew get hers in?
yep, yep.
Okay. You were the last one.
No, it's all good. So we're doing fine. So, do you,
So when's the final report where we know exactly what our income was for this year?
that will be probably in May or June. That'll be the audited version. We'll have an unofficial version that Don will probably give us in April. Okay? We switched to the accrual a couple of years ago, and it's really been a pain in the butt. And of course, the controller said we had to do it, and then at the very end, once we'd already done it, we were trying to be aggressive instead of being difficult. We just decided to do it, and then they said, "Oh, you don't have to do it after all." But you can't, if you've already done it, you can't go back. So we were caught in the middle there, but our biggest problem, quite frankly, is cash flow. And hopefully this will alleviate some of the problem I see this next 2 years. I hope I can explain it adequately, that over the next 2 years is gonna be a catch-up and a make-up on some of the monies that we've spent on the jail and some other things that we hadn't planned on, okay? And still accounting for it correctly, so there's no question about where the money's going.
Where's the jail meals coming from? Track Shack this year?
Right
But
now,
usually they come from Terre Haute, so that's the reason why I'm asking.
our understanding, right, Carl and Andy,
Yeah.
is they're coming from the Track Shack.
Yeah,
Plus, I know the health department has been in there again, and we're following all the rules and regs according to the health department
Right.
about not, we've got, like if they're gonna have a mallow cup that's wrapped, or chips, it's in a bag, we're not taking chips and putting it on it. Everything is how the health department wants it,
now,
okay?
we hopefully will get to a point where we can be a little more flexible as far as, but we gotta get the floor fixed. I think start there, floor fixed, stainless table, 3-bay sink.
Or the base sinks the way they are in the dishwasher. They've given us that
They said
option.
okay,
But I don't know, I haven't talked to,
okay.
we'll have to see.
So we're planning on fixing the meals at the jail then?
Not
Somebody
fixing
cook or-
meat, but like breakfast, you can take, pour it in a bowl and give
Okay.
them milk and have breakfast. You don't have to, you have to have one hot meal a day, correct? And
Okay.
they've looked at putting like a electric convection oven in, and then just doing TV dinners at some point, but.
Like
Still
TV
get-
dinners.
But it
Still get
starts
the food
with
from Track
four,
Shack?
yeah.
Still getting the food from Track Shack?
At this point, my understanding,
Okay.
I think they've made a deal on
I
that.
saw in the bill that they had some.
it's still pretty expensive.
Yeah.
But we don't have a lot of flexibility. The
No,
main thing we gotta
the-
get is
The floor's gotta get.
yeah, Derek was supposed to be here, I'm not sure where he is, I texted him. But he had a meeting with the 4 people, I think last week,
Okay,
the end of last week, and they were gonna tell them when and how come and all
Okay,
that stuff,
good.
so.
good. Cause that's a big, if you get the floor done, then, actually, man, yeah, if you get the floor done,
That'll be a biggie.
that'll be a biggie.
And then they've already ordered the table.
Good.
It may already be here by now, I don't know. The prep table. Oh, Adam, no,
Just hanging out back here.
yeah, you're wrong.
Yeah, he's asleep.
I used to be able to whip around and do this, but
I woke him up for you.
do you have anything to say?
No, I don't have reports for this month. Our report writer feature of the program wasn't functional. But for August, we ended up with 236, which was pretty good, pretty busy month for us.
So that is.
Normally it's right, 150,
What's that?
normal.
Yeah, between 150 and 175, so.
A lot of COVIDs.
We're transporting at least one positive COVID a day. We've got one facility that we're getting most of them out of.
Have a lot of
So,
positives, or do you know?
what's that?
I know we're up to about 94 in Edgar County. Is that an actual figure, or do we have more than that? I think there's more than that, right?
As far as actual figures, I don't have that for you, Dan, but I know
Twin Lakes is rapid
Twin Lakes is our
in the
Is our
40-some.
Hotspot.
So I have
spot
a,
right now. We're going there every day, sometimes 2 or 3
I've got a
times a
lady there
day.
I'm part attorney for. I mean, she's positive, but she's asymptomatic, so.
Yeah. The problem with those COVID patients, we've had an issue with dispatch a couple times lately where we go en route, and I don't know if they're not hearing us or what, but we're getting double tones, so if you ever hear us get a second tone, for some reason it has been our Twin Lakes calls lately. So I don't know if they're just not hearing us, but we are always we're still under that 1 minute mark for going dispatched en route. So I'm gonna actually head up to talk to Nan after this meeting, see what,
Sometimes you have 2 ambulances going back at one time. What's the reason for that?
2 ambulances going back.
I mean, 2 ambulances going by my house, same time.
Just to annoy you, I hope.
I think so, yeah.
They had 2 incidents there.
So are they going to the same place or 2
It
different
could, it
places?
could be, I mean, sometimes we get 2 calls at once, or sometimes if it's a serious call,
Or if somebody that weighs 500 pounds, you need 2
So, yeah, it all depends on the call, with like any serious call, we'll send multiple trucks too, but
Well, I just wondered.
What do you mean like me?
Well,
you guys have any
150.
questions for me, concerns?
I wish.
I wish you turned down,
Complaints, any
turned down the
complaints?
volume a little.
No complaints that I'm aware of this go around, unless you guys have heard something that I haven't.
I haven't heard anything. Anything I heard is good.
Yeah, stay by here.
I stepped out earlier because we got dispatched to West Union,
Don't do that.
so that was
Somebody wanted fish.
I looked it up and it was, it's a 40-minute response, so I called county, Clark County, and tried to figure out if they had a closer truck, but apparently their one truck in Clark County is out right now, and Crawford County didn't have any trucks available either, so we've currently got an ambulance in basically northern West Union.
Are you-
Charge
are you
extra,
Oh, go ahead.
that's why if we charge extra, if
Nope,
you go that far down.
Are you obligated to go down there?
we're not obligated, no, but
Okay.
at the same
But
time,
if you-
we're not gonna leave a patient without
Right,
care.
okay. I just,
While we're talking about it, the 60 days after the public hearing is up on the 18th. So then we're gonna have to go from there. I'll be in touch with Morris to make sure we do the appropriate things then.
I think they're, yeah.
Oh,
Do they know what they're planning on doing once it's the 60 days? They've got a plan on,
well, no, we need to appoint a committee and then,
so it's up to us to,
Yeah.
because I don't think in the current formation, I don't know whether they can even bid or not. I mean, I don't know what the
I
answer to
think
that
we need to
is.
get a legal opinion on
Yeah, well, that's not, you know.
that. I know, that's theirs.
Yeah, we just need to get a committee together. And by the way, Derek Lorenzen, although he's still not up there since he kind of helped,
mhm.
he's gonna be either a member of the committee or said he would help steer them at least through the procedures about what they need to do.
How many people are we gonna appoint to the
I
committee?
don't know.
When are we
Five?
gonna discuss that? I
Whenever
guess.
you'd like to.
Well, I mean, we don't wanna wait till our October meeting to do it, do we? I mean, do we wanna get moving? I guess,
Well, of course, we got plenty of time to bid because I don't see any entity taking over until next spring. Because, I mean, they're not gonna have any money from
Mhm.
taxes until July of next year,
okay.
right?
Right, that's part of the problem with
Yeah.
dragging their feet getting the thing, is
Right.
now they're not gonna get any money till.
Right. See, at one point, they could have acted and then they would have gotten
Right.
money earlier, but it's going into the levy that will pass in November.
So
So-
we can probably wait till October then.
Yeah,
Cause it'll take time, you know, it all takes time, but,
I saw 5 or 7 people max,
yeah.
probably the smaller the better, but, I mean,
You getting called up there quite a bit, Adam,
To
Chrisman area?
It hasn't been as much lately,
Okay.
but, I mean, you guys are probably well aware of the issues they've got going on
Right.
currently.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're-
So I
yeah.
think
Yeah.
with that
Mhm.
issue and one of those people being one of their main employees, I have a feeling we're gonna be doing that more and more.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know all what's gonna happen up there.
Something needs to be done. If any of this is
No, we
true,
have no-
all I've heard is.
We have no what? No control with them.
No, but some,
Problem.
geez,
All
Yeah.
costs money.
So, do they have some people they would like to see on the board? You got those names? All right.
Yes.
I will say if that does become an issue of us going up there more, I mean, our contract is for the lower 7 counties.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of those patients don't come back to Paris, a lot of those go to Danville and Carl, so those are extended trips, so you guys may need to be aware that if we're going up there, that may affect some of our coverage down here. I mean, we're always gonna try to have at least, I mean, we've always got 3 ambulances staffed, but sometimes Pleasant Meadows likes to send out 2 patients at a time, so that may eventually affect some things, the lower part of the county if we end up there.
You probably can't answer this question, but we know Twin Lakes has a lot of positives. I haven't heard nothing about Paris Healthcare or Pleasant Meadows. Do they have any positives, or can you tell me?
I can't tell you.
So off the top of my head, I don't know the answer to that.
Okay. fine.
General,
So as right now, probably October, we'll,
yeah, I think it'd be important that I think we should talk about it over the next couple of study sessions.
right.
Uh,
And in October, appoint a committee to
Committee.
Right,
start working on it.
I think so. Don't you?
When's the date, May next year, has to be
Well,
contract put out? or
no,
a bid
that's
put
up
out?
for them.
Oh,
If they
okay.
can find somebody and put in the contract, I guess, that somebody start operating right away with the money coming later.
Are they
But I don't
collecting
know
money?
that they're gonna find anybody to do that.
Are they collecting money now for the ambulance service?
Yeah, not much.
Not much, but they are, yes.
Not tax money,
No,
That's
Right,
what-
not
that's
tax
what I
money, it's
meant.
just.
yeah.
they get
no.
about 22,000, I think, for the local agencies chip in.
Right, but as far as the tax
Tax
money,
money.
you know, that's something we levy,
Right.
and it'll start next,
Well, it'll start being collected in July of next year, so
Okay.
they probably will not get a check until the end of July.
Okay,
You know, we're talking, what, 10 months,
all right.
9 months away?
Somebody'd have to have a lot of money in their pocket to set up a service before then, right?
I think it makes sense to, you know, make it probably a May or June 1 contract. I mean, it's, and that way, they're not every year starving for 3 or 4 months and then, because they'll have to borrow money.
Right.
You know, you wanna make it as advantageous for whoever's gonna bid it or be successfully awarded the contract.
Are you interested in that?
I have no comment at this time.
Kind of what I thought.
Do we have any public comment? I meant to ask that earlier. Impressions on how we're headed on the budget at this point? Okay. Do we want to have a brief closed session on negotiations to let them know where we're at, so we can get the impression of what, so.
We're good.
Motion to go into closed session for personnel, I'm sorry, for negotiations. Andy moves, Carl seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Thanks, Adam.
See you guys.
Thanks, Adam. Sorry.
Really fast.
No.
My wife pulled the bumper off the back of the car at Walmart. so
Okay.
it's fixed.
Is there anything else to come before the meeting today? Motion to adjourn. Andy moves, Bill seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same, opposed, nay.
Normally our meetings don't last this long.